Revealed. How stopping to help one millionaire changed my life and made a heartwarming connection. The rain drizzled down, painting the morning in gray, but as Jack turned onto Elm Street, something caught his eye. There, stranded on the side of the road, was a sleek black foreign car, its body glistening, but its tires were stuck in the mud like a fish out of water. He'd barely parked before he jumped out, the water splashing around his boots. A desperate call for help rang out from the car, and as he approached, he could see the frustration on Mr. Thompson's face. Steering wheel gripped tightly in hands that seemed unfamiliar with such struggle. "Need a hand?" Jack offered, his voice cutting through the sound of the rain. They chatted while Jack examined the engine, bombs of frustration and worry exploding in Mr. Thompson's words as Jack casually shared the bittersweet tales of his life as a mechanic and single father. He couldn't help but remember the taste of freshly baked pie that usually greeted him at home, or the echoes of laughter that should have filled their living room. "It's just me and my daughter now," Jack said softly, unable to mask the ache in his chest. "Every day is a grind." Something clicked for Mr. Thompson, a rich businessman who draped himself in confidence, but was drinking deep from the cup of loneliness. Jack's honesty was a fresh breath for him, a world away from the polished parties and boardroom debates where he often found himself isolated. As Jack offered to tow the car back to his shop, the rain's rhythm seemed to wane, allowing hope to trickle through the cracks of both their lives. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and their friendship grew amidst cheerful potlucks and the struggles of late-night car repairs. Jack began to see the glimmers of how his life could change when Mr. Thompson suggested longer hours in his shop and hinted at a position managing a small fleet of luxury cars, making it tempting for Jack as the pressure mounted around Emily's scholarship dreams. But that longing for security was tainted by a voice that whispered to him about honesty and hard work, values embedded deep in his bones. One breezy evening over pizzas and soft drinks, Jack and Emily argued. A clash sparked over dreams and opportunity. Emily's bright eyes gleamed excitedly as she spoke of scholarship forms, but Jack's heart tightened at the thought of straining for success at the cost of his integrity. "You have to understand, Dad. This is our chance." Emily's voice trembled, a mix of hope and frustration. They stood at a crossroads, the air thickening with tension, emotions flaring. Would he cross that line, embracing Mr. Thompson's offer despite it all and compromising every lesson he held dear? Shaking with uncertainty, Jack felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Just as understanding began to shimmer in the air, a truth emerged, threatening to rip their connection apart. Would Jack cling to the principles that shape a man, or step into the shadows of privilege in pursuit of a brighter future for Emily? As the storm outside raged on, he stood, heart racing, aware that a single decision could alter everything. The air in the room was thick with unspoken words. Jack took a deep breath, the heaviness of the moment settling on his shoulders like a wet blanket. Emily's bright spark was dimmer now, her frustration a tangible weight. "What do you want me to say?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "That I don't want to chase my dreams? Or that I'm okay living paycheck to paycheck?" Jack's heart twisted. He understood her longing, that burning desire for a life beyond their cramped apartment and the constant worry of bills. But something inside him pushed back against the idea of sacrificing everything they stood for. Chasing dreams is important, but doesn't it matter how we get there?" he countered, a quiver lacing through his words. "You're not listening," she snapped, her youthful passion mixing with frustration. "Mr. Thompson has opportunities, Dad. Why can't you just embrace them? He believes in you." Her words hung in the air, sharp and painful. Jack looked away, staring out the rain-slick window. The storm still raged, but it felt as if a different kind of storm brewed between them, one that threatened to fracture their bond. "It's not about what Mr. Thompson wants from me," he finally said, a firmness returning to his voice. "It's about who I am. I won't trade my values for the sake of comfort. We worked hard for what we have." Emily's eyes widened, hurt flashing across her face. "And what do we have, Dad?" she cried, the weight of her words pushing Jack back. "You're struggling. We're barely making it. I just want a chance to do something more." Her passionate plea struck a chord deep within him. He could feel the frustration of everyday life suffocating her dreams, just as it had his own. Yet, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be a way forward that didn't involve living in someone else's shadow. "You're the one with the talent," he said quietly, looking her in the eye, searching for a way to connect. "But just because someone holds a key doesn't mean they know how to open every door." For a moment silence enveloped them, the rain falling steadily outside, echoing the turmoil inside. Emily's shoulders slumped as the fight drained from her. She turned away and tears glimmered in her eyes. "I just want a real shot, Dad. I want us to be okay." Jack's heart ached. He reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. "I know, sweet pea. I want that too. But look at us. Look what we've built together. It's worth fighting for." The gravity of their journey hung heavy in the air, but the warmth of their shared history crackled with undeniable strength. That night, sleep eluded him. Jack lay awake, replaying every moment of their conversation like a broken record. The decision sat heavily on his chest like a stone, the weight of potential paths feeling surreal. Embracing Mr. Thompson's offer, could that be the escape for Emily? Or would he simply plunge them into the depths of an enviable darkness? As the first light of dawn crept through the window, it illuminated Jack's resolve. He'd talk to Mr. Thompson. He'd take control of the situation, but only on his own terms. Just as he made his decision, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message from Mr. Thompson flickered to life, one word turning his stomach to knots. "Urgent." Jack stared, a cold bead of sweat forming at his brow. What could it be? Time stood still for a heartbeat, and in that moment he felt the universe shifting. Would this message forge a new path ahead, or trap him further in an unwelcoming world? He took a breath, steeling himself. This was it. The moment that could change everything loomed before him. Jack picked up his phone, hesitating for a split second before opening the message. His heart raced as he read the words, "We need to talk. Come by the office at 10. He tossed the phone aside and rubbed his temples, the urgency of that message swirling in his mind. Thoughts about the conversation with Emily flooded back. She wanted more than he could give. What if Mr. Thompson's offer was a ticket out? But was it the right one? The rain had ceased, leaving a dampness in the air. A fresh start of sorts. With a sigh, he swung his legs over the side of the bed, the cool floor beneath his feet jolting him into reality. He could either bury his head in the sand or face what lay ahead. Either way, the decision loomed like a dark cloud, threatening to rain down on everything he held dear. He glanced around the room, the peeling paint, the mismatched furniture. This place had been their home, carved from the struggles they had faced together. But to Emily, it represented stifled aspirations. A sudden surge of determination filled him. Maybe it was time to explore the opportunities that could reshape their future. While still staying true to himself, he showered, letting the warm water wash away the doubts clinging to his skin. As he dressed, he imagined the conversation with Mr. Thompson. They had always shared respect, but he couldn't let this come off as desperate. Jack was proud. He would not abandon his values for a new path. Even if it glimmered. When 10 o'clock arrived, Jack found himself in front of the office building, a towering structure against the blue sky. He walked through the revolving doors, the crisp air meeting him like an electric shock. Inside, the office buzzed with activity. Staff hurried by, some casting curious glances at him. He took a seat in the waiting area, his nerves ramping up with every ticking second. How could this conversation possibly change everything? And what would happen if he didn't like what he heard? Moments later, Mr. Thompson appeared. His broad smile seemed to radiate warmth, but there was an intensity in his eyes that hinted at urgency. "Jack, thanks for coming," he said, clapping his hand on Jack's shoulder. "Let us talk." They entered Mr. Thompson's office, which smelled of fresh coffee and polished wood. Jack took a seat, steeling himself for whatever was next. Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled thoughtfully. "I've been keeping an eye on your work, Jack," he began, a mix of admiration and something else in his tone. "Their essay project coming up, something I believe you'd excel at." I want you on my team. Jack felt his pulse quicken, excitement mingling with anxiety. What's the catch? He asked, determination lacing his words. Mr. Thompson chuckled lightly but grew serious. No catch. Just hard work and commitment. But I need to know you're ready to step out of your comfort zone. The weight of the words hit Jack hard. He wanted to shout yes, to embrace this chance with both hands. But could he still be true to himself? Can we talk details? Jack asked, trying to mask the fluttering of hope swelling in his chest. As Mr. Thompson outlined the parameters of this project, Jack's mind raced. Could this be what Emily was urging him to consider? It felt promising but fraught with uncertainty. Meanwhile, in the back of his mind, another question loomed unspoken. What if saying yes would mean losing part of who he was? The conversation flowed, each idea exchanged sparking new possibilities. Yet Jack couldn't shake the sensation that he was standing at a precarious ledge. Give me your thoughts, Jack. This is a chance, Mr. Thompson said, leaning forward, eyes alight with expectation. And as Jack opened his mouth to respond, uncertainty gripped him once more. Would he take a leap into the unknown? Or would he cling to what little safety they had? Let me think about it, he began, his voice trembling with the weight of his decision. Would the answer lay within those thoughts that crisscrossed his mind like highways full of potential destinations waiting to be discovered? Now as the room seemed to pulse with unspoken energy, he sensed the change coming. It was bubbling beneath the surface, and he was swept up in its tide. What would he choose to embrace? In that moment of clarity he knew. He stood on a threshold. And even though doubt clung to the edges of his thoughts, something else flickered beside it, hope. Would he choose to step over? Just then his phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Emily. Dad, are we okay? The question cut through the tension, sending a jolt through him. He hesitated, his fingers hovering over the screen, unsure of how to respond. What would he tell her? Would this choice pave the way towards their shared dreams? Or would it only create wider rifts? All he could do was stare at the screen, the weight of his reply looming large. What was the truth he would bring home? Jack's mind raced as he grappled with Emily's message. He desperately wanted to reach out, to reassure her that things were okay, that they would be okay. But the uncertainty of his own life, of the potential shift hanging in the balance, made typing a simple response nearly impossible. Mr. Thompson's voice faded into the background, replaced by the whirlwind of concern that clouded Jack's thoughts. You good, Jack? Mr. Thompson's voice brought him back to the moment. He looked up to see the genuine concern in his boss's eyes. Yeah, just thinking about some things, Jack managed to choke out, trying to mask the gravity of what was happening in his heart. Take your time, but I believe in you, Mr. Thompson replied, leaning back, giving Jack the space he needed. The man had always seen potential in him, something Jack himself struggled to acknowledge. Jack's phone vibrated again, a reminder of the present. He glanced at the screen once more. Emily's message blinked at him like a beacon amidst the fog of indecision. His heart clenched, the picture of her face painted with worry flashed in his mind. It would be so easy to say yes to Mr. Thompson, to leap headfirst into this new opportunity. But what would that mean for his daughter? I'm on the verge of picking up something big, but I don't know if I can handle it all, he whispered to himself, barely above a breath. Did he even really know what it all meant anymore? Jack? Mr. Thompson prompted once more, pulling him from the depths of his thoughts. Yes, let us continue, he replied, forcing a smile. He had to focus, this was important. They delved deeper into the project details, Mr. Thompson fleshing out the vision, the strategy, and the potential for Jack's personal growth. With each sentence, Jack could feel the weight of possibility pulling him in, tempting him with promises of success. But beneath that allure lay an underlying fear. The fear that chasing this dream might mean sacrificing what truly mattered, the connection to his daughter, the intimacy of their shared life, their struggles turning into triumphs together. Minutes passed and the discussion wound down. Mr. Thompson eyed him closely, searching Jack's face for clues. What are you thinking? He finally asked. Jack's breath hitched. How could he truly put his needs into words? Especially when it felt as if he were standing at a crossroads formed by loyalty and ambition. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do, he began slowly, but I have to consider how it affects my family. I don't want to lose sight of what matters most. Mr. Thompson nodded, the warmth in his eyes telling Jack that his boss understood even if he wasn't living it. It felt good to express that tension out loud. You should never be afraid to prioritize family over work, Jack, Mr. Thompson replied, his voice steady. Success will always come and go, but those connections are irreplaceable. It struck a chord within Jack. Could he really find a way to balance both? When he glanced down at his phone again, the screen was illuminated with another message from Emily. I miss you, Dad. Can we talk? The need in her words gripped his heart, making the decision all the more daunting. Listen, I need to think. Can I get back to you on this? Jack said finally, anticipation knotting in his stomach. There was still so much on his plate, but the truth was dawning on him. This chance could shape their future together, provided he navigated it right. Of course, take your time, Mr. Thompson replied, his expression warm and inviting. Jack stood to leave, feeling the weight of his decision linger in his chest. As he exited the office, the world outside felt different, more vibrant somehow. The sun broke through the clouds, casting rays that warmed his face. With Emily's words echoing in his mind, he felt a newfound urgency to respond to bridge the growing distance between them. As he walked back to his car, he knew he had to choose wisely, not just for himself but for his daughter too. He opened his phone, fingers trembling slightly as he typed a response. I miss you too, Emily. I'll be home soon. But now the tension had shifted. Would telling her everything, his hopes, his fears, bring them closer? Or would it add more weight to their already fragile relationship? With a final glance back at the office building growing smaller in his rearview mirror, Jack felt the universe stretch before him. Choices loomed on the horizon, but which path would he walk? God help me make the right one, he whispered to himself, heart pounding at the thought of what lay ahead. Little did he know that the real challenge would come much sooner than he anticipated, a surprise visit from Emily that would change everything. As Jack drove home, the weight of his decisions felt heavier with every passing mile. The sun hung low in the sky, casting golden hues across the horizon, yet its warmth did little to ease the chill in his chest. Every text message from Emily, every moment he had with her, replayed vividly in his mind. He remembered her laughter, the jokes they shared, and the quiet moments when they simply existed together. He couldn't shake the gnawing fear that he was drifting away from her, caught in a tide of responsibilities that felt all-consuming. Pulling into his driveway, he inhaled deeply before stepping out of the car. He could hear the distant sounds of children laughing, their voices vibrant and carefree, a stark reminder of what he was fighting for. As he walked towards the front door, he felt his heart race. This would potentially change everything between them. Could he really open up to her? Was he strong enough to be vulnerable without breaking the bond they had? The front door creaked open, revealing the familiar warmth of their home. The smell of something delicious wafted through the air, making his stomach rumble. Emily must have been cooking. He smiled despite himself, feeling a flicker of comfort in her presence. Dad? Her voice rang through the hallway, a mixture of surprise and excitement. He turned to see her standing there, her face lighting up at the sight of him. Jack felt his heart swell, and for a moment he forgot about the weight of the world. Hey kiddo. What's cooking? He replied, trying to sound as nonchalant as possible. Emily grinned, her brown hair falling over one shoulder. Just some pasta. Thought we could make dinner together like old times. The invitation warmed Jack inside. He set his bag down and followed her into the kitchen, the air thick with anticipation. As they worked side by side, chopping vegetables and stirring the sauce, Jack stole glances at his daughter. She was focused, her brows slightly furrowed in concentration, yet the corners of her mouth hinted at a smile. Dad, are you okay? She finally asked, her voice delicate yet probing as they placed the pasta on the stove. He hesitated, the urge to shield her from his struggles battling against the desire to be honest. Yeah, just a lot on my mind lately. Emily turned to face him fully, her eyes searching his. Is it about work? Or is it about us? Her directness caught him off guard. The truth felt so close, the words teetering on the brink of spilling out. It's a bit of both, I suppose. He ran a hand through his hair, biting back the rush of emotions that threatened to overflow. Are you worried I'll be mad if you start this new job? She asked, her tone earnest and free of any judgment. He frowned at that, sensing the fear in her voice. I'd never want to put you through anything hard. It's complicated, Em. The thought of juggling everything scares me. Emily dipped her head, allowing a moment of silence to settle. Jack could see the wheels turning in her head. She was processing, ready to respond, but he beat her to it. I just don't want to lose the time we have together. You mean everything to me. I know. You're my dad, she exclaimed, a hint of annoyance creeping through her tone. But you're not going to lose me. We can figure this out together. Her sincerity broke something open inside him. Jack wanted to believe her words, wanted to grasp the promise of their connection remaining intact. You're right, he whispered, his voice trembling slightly. Maybe I should just be honest with you about everything. Before he could voice the cascade of thoughts swirling inside of him, the doorbell rang, disrupting the fragile moment. They exchanged a curious glance. Who could that be? Emily wondered, her brow knitting together in intrigue. Jack's heart raced at the interruption, but uncertainty gripped him. What if the surprise was someone or something that would change the fragile balance of their conversation? Let us check it out, he said, forcing a brave smile while feeling the tension start to rise again. As he approached the door, he couldn't shake the premonition that whatever awaited him on the other side would alter the course of both their lives, deepening their bond or tearing it apart. Taking a deep breath, he turned the doorknob. The door swung open, revealing a tall figure shrouded in shadows. Jack squinted against the dim light, recognizing a familiar face, yet feeling a swell of confusion. It was Derek, an old college friend who had settled in the area a few years back. He looked different, more worn down than Jack remembered, as if the weight of the world was resting on his shoulders, just as Jack had felt moments before. Jack, I didn't think I'd find you here, Derek said, a smile breaking through his weary expression. I was in the neighborhood and figured I'd stop by. Mind if I come in? Yeah, of course, Jack replied, stepping aside to allow him entry. As Derek crossed the threshold into their home, the door clicked shut behind him, sealing off the outside world. Emily's eyes widened in surprise at the unexpected guest. Derek! It's been ages! She exclaimed, rushing forward to give him a quick hug. Hey kiddo! You've grown since I last saw you, Derek said, ruffling her hair affectionately. Jack felt a flicker of warmth seeing the two share a moment, but it was quickly overshadowed by the heaviness settled in the pit of his stomach. Was this visit a distraction from his important conversation with Emily? How have you been? Jack asked, his mind racing with unspoken worries. He gestured toward the kitchen, inviting Derek to join them for dinner. Not great, honestly, Derek admitted, running a hand through his hair. Just got laid off from my job, everything's kind of a mess right now. I could really use a meal and a chat. The tension in Jack's chest tightened. Here was Derek, a person in crisis, standing in front of him while he was grappling with his own turbulent emotions. Jack was about to express his own fears to Emily. Their kitchen echoed with laughter and vulnerability, and now it felt like that moment was slipping through his fingers. We were just about to sit down to dinner, Jack said hesitantly, but we can make room. Derek nodded gratefully, flashing a grateful smile. As the three of them moved to the table, Jack felt the weight of the evening shift. Over the clatter of plates and the smells of pasta, they shared small talk, but Jack's focus wavered. He could see the worry etched on Emily's face as she studied Derek closely, sensing the heartache he carried. Dad, she whispered, leaning closer. Is everything okay? Her eyes pleaded for reassurance, her youthful spirit trying to cut through the heaviness that had suddenly enveloped the room. Yeah, just a lot going on, Jack replied, avoiding Derek's gaze for a moment. He struggled between the urge to be supportive to both Derek and Emily while wrestling with his own emotions. It was as if the universe conspired to distract him, pulling him away from the honesty he wanted to share. As they sat together, Derek began to recount his struggles, a torrent of anxiety spilling from his lips. Jack listened, drawn into Derek's narrative, reminded of the fragile threads of life that often bound friendships. There was a sincerity in Derek's words that resonated deeply within Jack. He began to realize that they all faced their battles, even Emily, and perhaps this was a moment for connection, not just a desperate plea for answers. But just as Jack felt that flicker of understanding, Emily's phone buzzed from her pocket and she froze. With a look of mixed curiosity and concern, she glanced at him, then back to the phone. Jack's heart skipped a beat. What is it? he asked, a sense of foreboding creeping in. I don't know, Dad, she murmured, her brow furrowing. It's a message from Mom. Jack's stomach twisted. He hadn't anticipated her mother weighing in on their evening, especially now. His mind raced with questions. What could it be? Would it be the distraction that could tear them further apart? Or an opportunity for healing? Suddenly, everything felt precarious: friends, family, secrets. The delicate balance hung in the air as he wondered how far he could stretch before everything snapped. The answers lay ahead, but first they would have to face whatever was waiting in that message. Emily opened her phone. Jack felt the world shift underfoot, and he braced for whatever revelation could change everything once more. Emily's fingers danced nervously over the screen, her face a mixture of confusion and apprehension. Jack leaned in closer, drawn by a primal instinct to shield her from whatever turmoil the message might deliver. Nerves quaked within him. Just read it, Em, he urged, his voice placating yet firm. She bit her lip, the tension palpable in the air. When the message finally illuminated her face, its blue light was almost too harsh against the warm tones of their home. Jack watched her eyes narrow, the tiny crease forming between her eyebrows deepening. It says, she finally muttered, glancing between Jack and Derek, that Mom wants to see me. She's in town. The words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Jack felt the shock crackle through him, leaving an ominous silence in its wake. He had thought they had room to breathe, time to process the chaos that was their family. But now? What? She didn't give you any details? Jack asked. His heart raced, blood pulsing in his ears. Emily shook her head, a flicker of hurt passing over her face. No, just that she's here. And she wants to see me. The tremor in her voice mirrored Jack's internal whirlwind. Part of him wanted to protect her from the turmoil that came with any news of her mother, but he also knew this was her life too, a life tangled with the complexities of love, loss, and forgiveness. Across the table, Derek shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension. For a moment, silence engulfed the kitchen again, only broken by the quiet clinking of silverware as the previous cheer of dinner faded into the background. Jack could see Emily's resolve flicker as tears pooled in her eyes, her childhood bliss and innocence scraping against the sharp edges of reality. What do you think you'll say to her? Jack asked softly, hoping to inch toward exploring Emily's feelings. Maybe I'll just tell her I've missed her? She said, her voice cracking slightly. The weight of uncertainty was staggering. Jack knew it was more complex than that, but he wanted to keep this moment light for her. He reached out, placing his hand on hers, trying to convey strength. Want me to come with you? I can talk to her too, he offered, a sense of desperation lacing his words. Derek looked back and forth between them, his previous worries momentarily set aside. I don't know, Dad. Maybe I should just figure this out myself, she replied, swallowing hard, eyes darting to the floor. The idea of facing her mother after everything felt daunting, like standing at the edge of a cliff. Suddenly, Derek's voice broke the hush. You know, when I was in college, I had to confront some tough relationships too. It was scary, but it ended up being the most freeing thing I ever did. He spoke with an earnestness that seemed to reach out to her. No one ever said it would be easy, but speaking your truth is a powerful thing. Emily nodded slowly, taking in Derek's words. There was wisdom there, an understanding that they all faced difficult crossroads. As the conversation evolved, and Jack bore witness to the exchange of support between them, his heart finally lightened until he remembered the unraveling thread of his own struggle. He had his own battle to face, one he still hadn't revealed to Emily. Derek, he interjected, wanting to refocus. I appreciate you sharing that. But can we talk about what's going on with you? Before Derek could respond, Emily's phone buzzed again, vibrating violently against the table. They all turned their gazes toward it, the air thickening with tension once more. Just 1 second. I'll check. Hesitantly, she turned her attention back to her screen, a blush creeping into her cheeks. As she read, her expression shifted from confusion to surprise. What is it? Jack asked, trepidation rising within him. It's Mom. Emily paused, uncertainty dancing in her eyes. She's asking to meet tonight. Jack's stomach dropped. The timing felt cruel, the urgency of it all impossibly heavy. Was this the universe urging them to confront their tangled past? Or was it just more chaos thrust upon them when they had only begun? To heal? And just like that, Jack realized he was standing at the edge too, about to be pulled into something unforgiving. Are you ready for this? He asked, his voice trembling slightly. Emily looked at him, a mix of hope and fear swirling within her gaze. It's what I need to find out, she whispered. A moment of truth was dawning, one that could alter the course of their lives. The question was, could they all bear what lay ahead? Emily's breath got caught in her throat as she held the phone, her world narrowing down to this one pivotal moment. Tonight, she murmured, as if saying the word would make it any less daunting. The emotion sprinted through her like wildfire, a rush of anxiety and anticipation that tightened her chest. Emily, are you sure you want to do this? Jack's voice broke through her racing thoughts. His eyes were filled with concern, a father's instinct to protect. It feels necessary, she replied, her voice steadying as she pushed through the storm. I just need to know where I stand. I need to know if I can forgive her. She looked at Jack, and in that moment he saw the girl she used to be, innocent, hopeful. He wanted to shield her from hurt, yet he knew this was a part of growing up. Derek leaned forward, investing his own quiet wisdom into the moment. If you decide to meet her, just remember it's okay to express how you feel. It's okay to be angry or sad. What if she doesn't even want to listen? Emily's voice wavered. The flash of doubt stung, but she swallowed hard, determined not to let fear rule her actions. Then it's her loss, Jack interjected, an edge of protectiveness creeping into his tone. You deserve to be heard, Em. This is about you. Emily nodded, resolute. The idea of confronting the past felt like standing at the edge of a sheer cliff, terrifying yet thrilling. There was no denying the ache in her heart, reflecting the depth of years lost. Tonight, then, she affirmed finally, determination igniting a spark in her eyes. Jack draped his arm around her shoulders, a supportive weight. I'll be right here waiting for you no matter what happens. Derek added, you've got this, Em. You're stronger than you think. As they shared a comforting moment, Jack's mind drifted to his own lingering secret. What could he say? The last thing he wanted was to overshadow Emily's urgent struggle with his own issues. He felt so entangled in worry, his heart heavy with something he couldn't reshape. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, reminding them that time was running short. When is she meeting you? Derek asked, snapping Jack back to the present. In about an hour, Emily replied, her voice more resolved now. Do you want to get ready together? Derek suggested, trying to lighten the atmosphere. Yeah, let us do that, she said, grateful for the distraction. She stood, brushing her hands together as if wiping away negative energy. I'll be okay. I really will. Emily slipped away, leaving Jack and Derek in the quieter aftermath of their conversation. Jack turned to Derek, the weight of uncertainty still pressing down on him. What if she doesn't handle this well? What if she falls apart? Sometimes it's those moments of falling apart that reveal how strong we really are, Derek replied thoughtfully. They can help us rebuild. Jack pondered Derek's words, letting them settle into his heart. Emily returned from her room just as Jack's heart rate picked back up. She was ready, her hair pulled back neatly, her demeanor almost serene despite the storm inside. I think it's time, she said, gathering her courage like a shield. Do you want to talk about it? Jack asked, hesitating. No, she said, shaking her head lightly. I just want to do this. And so she left, the door closing behind her with a soft click that echoed through Jack's mind like an unanswered question. Suddenly, Jack felt a tug in his chest, panic rushing through him. What if I'm not here when she needs me? But his phone buzzed, cracking through his thoughts. A message from her, just a single word. Help. With a surge of urgency, Jack grabbed his jacket, determination flooding through him. He couldn't lose her, not now. What exactly was happening out there? He had to find her. Jack raced down the street, his heart pounding heavily in his chest, the cold air stinging his lungs. The world blurred as he pushed himself forward, each step fueled by fear and a desperate hope to reach Emily in time. The message had sent a chill through him, one word, one plea, and suddenly the night felt darker, more foreboding. Why would she need help? Was she scared? Angry? Or had everything he'd worried about come crashing down in an instant? He grabbed his phone, looking for any signs of where she might be. Her last known location pinged not too far ahead, at the small coffee shop they visited together. It was familiar ground, a place where laughter and warmth had filled their past. but now it felt like a battleground as he approached the shop. Its glowing lights flickered against the chilling evening air. He hesitated for a beat, anxiety churning in his stomach. This place held so many memories, but tonight it was clouded with something ominous. Pushing through the door, the bell jingled lightly. He scanned all the faces, searching for her familiar frame. Then he spotted Emily sitting alone at a small table in the corner, her hands wrapped around a cup, her gaze lost in thought. Relief washed over him for a moment, but it evaporated quickly when he saw her expression. Her face held a mix of sorrow and confusion. He took a deep breath and walked toward her, gathering the courage he needed. His voice broke through her trance, yet she didn't look up at first. When she finally met his gaze, her eyes shimmered, reflecting a profound depth of emotion that stole his breath. "Jack," she whispered, her voice shaky. "What happened? Are you okay?" He slid into the seat across from her, instinctively reaching for her hand. She shifted her cup nervously, but the warmth was suddenly comforting. I just don't know how to face her," Emily admitted, tears pooling at the corner of her eyes. "What if she doesn't want to apologize? What if she's not ready to talk?" "It's okay to be scared," Jack replied softly, squeezing her hand. "But whatever happens, just let it out. You've been waiting too long for this moment." Emily took a shuddering breath, her chest rising and falling as the door jingled again. Jack's attention flicked to it instinctively, and his heart sank as a shadow from the past appeared in the doorway. Her mother, the woman Emily had hoped to confront. The tension in the room thickened. The air felt electric, charged with unspoken words and long-held grievances. Jack could see Emily's body tense, her once steady grip faltering. "Mom," Emily breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Emily," her mother replied, eyes searching with a mix of apprehension and longing. It felt like the air was pulled tight, ready to snap in a moment. Jack's heart thumped in time with Emily's rising panic. "Are you ready?" he asked quietly, leaning ever so slightly toward her, his presence an anchor amid the storm. "I don't know." Her voice trailed off, uncertainty grasping at her heart. This was a moment of reckoning. As her mother took a hesitant step forward, Jack's heart raced. There was no turning back now. Would all the unanswered questions finally emerge? Would healing begin in this fragile moment? Everything inside Jack urged him to reassure her, but the uncertainty loomed heavier than expected. He held his breath as he watched the scene unfold. What's going to happen? He thought as hope and dread swirled together around them, numbing his senses. He needed to support Emily, but how? Emily's mother opened her mouth as if to speak, the words teetering on the edge. Jack's heart raced faster, knowing their lives would change in these next few moments. And just as the silence threatened to consume them, Emily's voice emerged unexpectedly. "Mom, can we talk?" Would this be the moment they'd both been waiting for? Or had the gap between them become too wide to heal? The tension hung thick in the air, a fragile thread binding them all together. Emily's voice broke through the silence like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. Jack felt a surge of hope but also fear. Would this be a moment of healing? Or would it create even deeper scars? "Can we talk?" Emily repeated, her voice steadying, despite the whirlpool of emotions beneath. Her mother stepped closer, a flicker of hesitation in her eyes, but there was also something else: vulnerability. "Yes," she finally replied, her voice trembling. Jack could see the tears glimmering in both of their eyes, a mirror of hurt, anger, love and longing. "Let us sit," Emily said, her voice commanding yet kind. Jack's chest tightened. As they found seats across from each other, the noise of the coffee shop faded into a distant hum. It was just the three of them, caught in an emotional storm, the world outside ceasing to exist for now. Jack watched intently, his heart wrestling between hope and dread. Would they find the words that could bridge this chasm? Or would misunderstandings reign supreme? With courage painting her features, Emily glanced at her mother. "You wanted to see me," she began, voice surprisingly firm. "Why now? What do you want?" The question hung in the air, and Jack felt the weight of it. It was raw and real, an invitation to everything they had been keeping at bay. Her mother bit her lip, her eyes flickering with regret. "I didn't know how to reach out before. I've made mistakes and I've missed so much time with you." Jack could see the walls crumbling bit by bit. "But it's not just about missing time. You left and I just wanted to understand why. Were we not enough? Emily's voice trembled as the vulnerability seeped through her hardened shell. The emotion was palpable, raw like a fresh wound. I thought leaving would create a better life for you, her mother confessed, tears spilling as they cascaded down her cheeks. I was scared and lost, but I realize now I was wrong. I was naive to think distance could fix things. Jack squeezed Emily's hand, wanting to imbue her with the strength she needed. He wanted to shout that she was enough, that they both were, but words were escaping him. He held his breath. Emily inhaled deeply, eyes fierce. You hurt us both, Mom. I felt abandoned, lost. All I wanted was for you to fight for us. Her voice cracked, but she pressed on. Why should I believe you now? What has changed? The tension pulsed in the room, but Jack could see a flicker of realization in her mother's gaze. Like maybe this was the awakening she'd been waiting for. I want to rebuild, Em. I know it's not easy, but I promise to try to be there this time. I want to hear everything. Promise? Emily said softly, tears lining her lashes. I need to know you mean it this time. I promise, her mother replied, no hesitation in her voice now. But it has to come from both of us. You can be angry with me. You can express everything you felt and I'll listen. With each exchanged word, Jack felt the binding cords between them strengthen. It wasn't all resolved, but the first steps towards healing lay right before them, a path laced with threads of sincerity. Tears spilled down Emily's cheeks now, but a smile began to form a fragile glimmer of hope. I want us to start over. I just don't know how, she said, vulnerability unshackling her pain. Neither do I, her mother admitted, wiping her own tears. But I want to try together. Please. Jack watched, his heart swelling, and in that moment he realized something vital. Even amidst chaos, the potential for connection and love thrived. He longed to say something meaningful, to assure them both that everything would be okay. Just be honest with each other, he finally added, drawing on his own resolve. One day at a time. The love is there, you just need to give it space to grow. The air lightened, laughter leaking in from the outside world. And for the first time in a long time, Jack felt a peace emerge within himself. Healing was a journey not just for Emily and her mother, but for him too. As the three of them began to talk, sharing their struggles, joys, and dreams, the barriers started to crumble. The war that had raged silently for years began to fade as empathy filled the spaces where resentment once grew. Jack knew they had a long way to go, but this moment sparked something monumental. His daughter had taken a brave step, faced the shadows of her past, and found the courage to seek forgiveness. As they shared laughter interspersed with tears, Jack felt his own heart swell with hope. They were on the brink of a new chapter, a testament that even the most fractured relationships could be mended, with love and perseverance guiding the way. Together they could forge paths previously dreamt but untrodden. The night air blended with the warmth surrounding them, a reminder that the journey ahead was a tapestry woven with threads of understanding, kindness, and unimaginable growth. It was time to let go of the shadows and embrace the light. Jack couldn't help but smile as the coffee shop buzzed with life once more, their laughter spilling out into the world. It was time to live anew together. And as Emily looked at him radiating strength, he knew they would face whatever came next as a family united and stronger than ever before. If you felt the emotional journey of Jack and Emily, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and help us reach more hearts. Comment below with your reactions to this heartwarming transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how love can flourish, even in the darkest times. Together, we can inspire hope and strength.